Aditya, tell us about what he told you, especially the part about tunnels not being habitable by Hamas anymore.
Well, if you remember, Sandeep, last year, along with Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, I had visited the same areas which were attacked by the Hamas terrorists. He, in fact, spoke about that tunnel that he took me into that was created by Hamas and detected by the IDF. Now, underneath Gaza, for more than 500 kilometers, and that's a huge area that we are talking about, lies the real headquarters and the command centers of the Hamas, where they actually store for years together rockets, and these are well-built tunnels where they can stay in for perhaps days or weeks together. And he agreed with me that this war could continue for weeks and months together if all these tunnels are not completely eradicated and annihilated. As of now, there are thousands of fighters or terrorists of Hamas who have taken shelter underneath these tunnels, which are interestingly underneath hospitals, underneath playgrounds, underneath children Boy Scout camps, and of course UN compounds as well.
Right. So this is a fact of across the world. Terrorists, literally by definition, they hide behind civilian shields. We've seen that in countless examples. But did you kind of anticipate this level of, the kind of shields that they've built going into hospitals and schools, organized basis?
Yes. And I'll say two things about this. First of all, it's a good distinction you made. Terrorists, not freedom fighters. This is not a resistance, which is a legal resistance. They could have lived their days in peace. They decided to attack us on the 7th of October in a way which hasn't been seen before. So terrorists first. And yes, we're not surprised when terrorists take human shields. We're not surprised when they put rockets inside Boy Scouts camps. And we showed this video yesterday, 50 rockets within that camp. We're not surprised when they want collateral damage. It's something that we know about. The fact that we didn't bomb Shifa Hospital and that we abide by international standards and laws is because we're a democracy. But we are now on the ground there. We are around the Shifa Hospital, and we will not leave until those terrorists underneath in the headquarters of Hamas are outside. They can come out alive or they can come out dead, but they will not be there anymore. And any civilian infrastructure that they used, including schools, as Aditya mentioned, including kindergartens and other places that are hosting right now either terrorist tunnels or terrorist infrastructure or missiles, those places will be brought down. They cannot continue to exist in this way where they're serving this dual use of being civilian and at the same time being terrorist abodes.
So are the Hamas fighters actually hiding in the tunnels as we think they are, or is it that they are, using it once in a while? Because it boggles the mind to think that human beings could live underground for extended periods of time, especially when tunnels have to be, they have to be ventilated. You need air conditioning, you need air, you need electricity, all of these things. Has Hamas factored in all this?
Of course they have. They have close to 500 million liters of gasoline, 500 million liters of gasoline that they're keeping. We showed this. We already released this information. If you notice, Shifa Hospital, they were crying on day one that there is no electricity. Electricity is running out. They have no fuel anymore for the generators. We're on day 31. Shifa Hospital miraculously still has gasoline. Their generators are still working. Any place that you see that still has lights tells you underneath terrorists are living comfortably. They have food that they have taken from the UNRWA storages. They are taking every piece of humanitarian aid sent into the Gaza Strip for them first. If a Palestinian that is not affiliated with Hamas actually gets their hands on some of this humanitarian aid, it's a miracle.
Did you anticipate this? I mean, the tunnel building has been on for a while, 10 years or so, more than that. Did you actually anticipate a time that you would have to enter and physically fight with Hamas in those tunnels, the kind of dilemma that you're facing now?
It's a deeper question that you're asking here. Look, Hassan Nasrallah has been in one of these tunnels in Lebanon for over 15 years now. So yes, a person can live like a rat. Apparently they can. And they can plan terrorism from within those places safely, and apparently they can do it for a long period of time. But this is a deeper question. It's a question of what the Palestinians want for themselves. Eventually, there are also civilians in Gaza, and they need to make better choices. Bringing the Hamas to power in 2006 was the last big political mistake they made because they didn't have a chance to vote again. We were hoping that they would have a life of some sort an economy of some sort, and eventually will want a normal, decent country. That's not where they went. They have not decided at some point that they want a better future for their children. They allow Hamas to take everything. They continue under its rule, and they did not try to overthrow it. There was not one instance where they tried to overthrow it. And so they are there. And yes, they might sometimes be collateral damage, although we try our best not to get to those situations. But Hamas is making them collateral damage every day, and they are not rebelling against that. They don't see a better future for themselves. And as long as that is the case, then we will have to go inside and we will have to dig out Hamas ourselves.
Right, which is what you seem to be doing right now with the military operations. Now, the issue of Palestine had kind of receded into the backdrop over the last decade or so. Do you see the kind of violence that we're seeing now, violence and counter-violence, and the bombing campaign, of course, that it's united the Muslim world and the Arab world, and it's brought Palestine back, into circulation, and this is going to continue for the next couple of years? Does that worry you a lot as a diplomat?
It's a good point. I don't negate it. I think there's truth in what you're saying, that they were outside of any scope of conversation, but they brought themselves to be outside. The Abrahamic Accords were something we did with brave Arab countries that wanted to have some sort of a normal future with us. They have been rejectionists of peace for a very long time. Leave that aside for a moment. Let's talk about what the potential for the West Bank is compared to the potential for Gaza Strip. We're not inside the Gaza Strip. We haven't been since 2005. And yet the best salaries within the Gaza Strip are around 1,000 shekel. The best salaries in the West Bank, where we are assisting the PA to maintain its security control, are about 3 times that. The economic situation leads to a place where they want a better future, where they can foresee something else except for terrorism. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's also terrorism in the West Bank. We're uprooting that as well. But a lack of presence, a lack of security presence, leads to the festering of terrorism. If this is the only lesson we've learned, then this is the major lesson we need to remember forever. We have to be in charge of our fate. And our fate is only decided by having security. If we need to be there, we will be there as long as we need to be. We'd rather not be. We'd rather have an international solution where eventually Hamas is eradicated and we pull out and they have a better future. But if we need to stay there because there is no other better solution, our citizens come first.
News9 Plus. Download now.